Yay! We are live and talking about somebody got a book extremely loud and incredibly close. Where'd Pam go?
I don't know, we just lost her. Oh, she is. Hello again.
Hi. Everything
I
froze.
don't even know if you can see it. Dude. The EPUB version, which is not all that interesting.
I had a paperback, but it was due back at the library, so.
Ah.
To show.
So we are the
Pennsylvania.
Hmm?
I left mine in Pennsylvania. I flew back, and I'm in South Dakota right now.
Oh, cool.
In a Super 8.
Let's see. I meant to do this before we started. So while I am finding questions, thoughts?
Pam, you nominated, so you can start.
Oh yeah. I liked it. I've wanted to read it for a while, and I liked it. I don't know.
What did you like about it?
I don't know. It made me cry, and I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. We can find other things to discuss about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good. We have some
Our favorite lit lovers have a guide for this.
All right.
I tend to use them a lot.
So this was my second time reading this. I read it probably like 8 years ago. What is that mean? Pam, is that your audio? Is that your headphones or something?
What?
Your computer's making a loud noise.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, so I didn't particularly like it the first time I read it, but I don't think I could have articulated why. And this time, I was about halfway through, and I was like, oh, I understand what I hate about this book now.
Oh.
I feel like the author is making fun of Oscar. Like it's not entirely clear what Oscar's deal is, if he's supposed to be like autistic or just like mentally challenged or what, but he clearly like is not totally typical in some way, and that we're not supposed to empathize with him so much as we are supposed to find it amusing that he, takes his tambourine all over the city and does odd things. I don't know. I found the tone to be more mocking than I thought was appropriate. So I didn't like that aspect of it, and I also just don't particularly like Jonathan Safran for his books. I read it, Everything is Illuminated, and it had the same kind of extreme, bizarre characters that act in weird ways, and that I don't like. I understand that they're like being symbolic, but it's like you can act in like a normal human way and also be symbolic. Like you don't have to. I don't know. Especially in Everything is Illuminated, people don't act in very bizarre ways. So I don't know. Not something I really can connect to.
So the first time that I engaged with Extremely Loud and Incredible because it was audio only.
That would be very different.
What?
That would be very different than reading it in print.
Yeah, I was confused for a lot of the story, and like when all of a sudden these different narrators pop up, I'm like, okay, wait, what? Because in what I had read about the book, it doesn't say anything about this secondary storyline that's going on that is not as developed, I think, and that doesn't, like, without any warning, it was very jarring. there were these two other narrators that show up. Also, I didn't know there were photographs. So commentary on audiobooks. And sometimes, actually, reading the EPUB version of the book, sometimes the placement of the photographs was a little confusing as well. I think this one, along with Life of Pi, which is actually invoked in the discussion questions. When I was finished with them, I was like, so can I have that time back? It felt a little meandery. I for whatever reason, I assumed that Oscar was autistic. I don't know if I'd read that or what. So, because it was from his point of view, I didn't really get that mocking sense quite so much. I might have ignored a lot of the tambourine playing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it made a lot more sense this time than it did the first time. How about that?
I would think so. I intentionally got it in print again this time because I remembered there was just so much about placement and pictures and things you can get in any other format.
Yeah, I'd like even getting the because what I do now is I'll have the audiobook and the ebook and I go back and forth based on where I am and what I'm doing. So the hour drive to work, if I'm driving, audiobook. If I'm not driving, ebook. Although this one after I started seeing the pictures, I did commit to just the ebook version. So take a look at the questions in the chat.
Yeah.
We can start there.
Bless you.
Bless you. Anything jumping out at you?
Number 4.
Number 4?
Yeah, about why Oscar's mother let him wander the streets of New York alone, and whether if that's relevant or if the book is actually a work of realism or more of a fable.
So
I don't think the book is intended to be realistic in all sorts of ways. So
yeah,
maybe that's a fair point that you shouldn't care or wonder about his mother because that's not the point.
So for more context of the question, so it says if the latter, which means if it's a fable, what is it a fable of? This is the question that talks about Life of Pi. Oscar seems to be a quester, but of what? I did find it really interesting that he spends all of this time trying to get closer to his father by, going around and talking to all of these people, even though he's scared of people and he's scared of transportation. And that his mother knows what's going on and then calls everybody before he even gets there.
It's interesting because I remembered that reading it the second time. I remembered that aspect of it, and so there were a lot of people they visit that I was like, "There's no way that his mother could have called ahead of time because they on the telephone or lived at the top of the Empire State Building or didn't speak any English." Like, so I think that was another one of those aspects that was like
a little more fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think really it's a story about a kid who is processing his grief.
Yeah.
more than anything else, and like everybody seems to be processing their grief in whatever way. Um, Even the renter and his grandmother who is writing Oscar letters. That was super confusing. Like I didn't understand who. It took me a while to figure out. It's like, okay, so is she writing to Oscar like Oscar, or is there another person named Oscar and he's like a junior, but his dad's name is Thomas? So, and it might have been a lack of close reading on my part, um, because they're the two sets of letters, and I'd forgotten that there were two other narrators until a little bit longer later in.
Yeah, I interpreted as she was writing to Oscar basically at the very end of the rest of the plot, like because the grandfather had stuff was all earlier. It was like letters to Oscar's father,
Yeah.
and then the grandmother typed her life story, except she didn't really. That was an interesting
Yeah.
plot line. And then I gathered that at some point after that, she repaired the typewriter and then was writing letters to Oscar, trying to explain things.
Yes, and there was a point in time when she and his grandfather were at the airport with the typewriter, and I was really confused about how they got there. Like, what point in time is this? Is this before he leaves or after he comes back? And
They're at the airport 2 times, but the time with the typewriter I think was the later time after he had written her life story, and then he was like, I'm gonna go get some magazines, and she knew that that meant that he was leaving because that's what he did the first time.
mm-hmm.
And then he went to the airport, and then she followed him there and was like, how about we just live at the airport?
Yeah.
Like live at the airport, like the lady lives in the Empire State Building.
Yes, exactly. This is what I mean about nobody really has like realistic solutions to their problems.
No.
Like
Yeah.
it bothered me that the grandfather would only write a single sentence in pen on every page of his book, and then he would run
Right.
it really fast and have to just reference his earlier pages. And I'm like, you can fit more than one line on, because when you're writing letters, you're like filling entire pages with very small writing. But then you're just like, what time is it? Oh no, I have to go to a new page. Oh, I filled my book. I got to stack it in the grandfather closet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I'm like, how do you? I mean, and when I carry around little notebooks, because I forget things, and I would spend a whole lot more money on little notebooks if I didn't write more than one thing on a page.
Mm.
Yeah. And
I
that's
think it really limits his ability. Like, I think he's purposefully limiting his ability to communicate
yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I think it's also supposed to be symbolic to some extent that he kind of carries his entire life with him. Like, he can't ever let go. He just has all of the words of his entire life filling up his house.
So, yeah, literally, right? Because he wrote on the walls, on the sheets, and like everywhere.
Right.
That was one of those things I wasn't initially certain whether it was like metaphoric or literal.
Oh, yeah. Pretty sure it's literal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when she talks about washing the words out of the sheets, I was like, okay, well, maybe, yeah.
Nope. Pretty much everything I think was meant to be literal in the most extreme sense, is what I gathered.
Well, it is extremely loud, right? That was bad. I'm sorry. Well, So I guess that kind of takes us to question 3, where it says the author has said that he writes about characters and their miscommunications. Some characters they think they're saying a lot but saying nothing. Others say nothing but end up saying a lot. Which characters fall into which categories? And what might Ford be saying about our ability to communicate deep-seated emotions? So it's I think it's interesting with like the question and the way it's worded with the whole idea of saying nothing or saying something, where there are these spaces in their apartment that are some things, and there are spaces in the apartment that are nothing.
Mm.
Um, and that I mean that could be intentional on the part of the question writer,
Hmm.
but see, there's part of me that would say, oh, we put Oscar's grandfather in the category where he's saying nothing but ends up saying a lot, but I'm not. He may have intended to say a lot with his few words, but I don't think it was necessarily communicated well.
Right. I would say he falls in the other category where he's constantly writing, but about like what time is it? Do you know the time?
Yeah.
Like just continually flips back to that, and it's I think the idea that you can't put deep-seated emotions into words at least very quickly and coherently into a written line on the page.
Yeah.
What about other characters? Let's take Oscar.
Mm.
You look like you're thinking, fam. Your face is also half off the screen.
What? Oh.
Very artistic. Wait, 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 wait.
You have thoughts, Sam?
It looks almost black and white, so it was actually a really neat effect. So Oscar, something or nothing, or more like saying a lot but nothing, or not saying anything but saying a lot.
Well, he's the narrator, so all of his words fill the pages of the book, and if he's not saying a lot, then the book is like nothing. I guess the question is like between characters, like dialogue, not like the narration. So I don't know. Um, he, I don't know.
I think we're definitely supposed to read between the lines in a lot of the things that he says, because he never does come out and say like, I am autistic. This means we're just supposed to gather from the things that he says and the things he fixates on and the things he does that he is maybe not neurotypical and doesn't relate to people the way that they do.
Yeah.
I think about his quest. He's trying to find this luck, and he talks to a lot of people, and sometimes the things that he says, like keep like his fixation on asking women if he can kiss them. I was like a little challenged by. Like I'm like I don't know. Do people really do things like this? But then a lot of things are unrealistic. So
Yeah, I don't think you can. I think if you ask, do people really do things like this about anything in the book, you're going to get stuck.
Yeah.
At least that's where I found myself. Like, this would never happen. What are you doing?
yeah, this is
I don't
true.
do well with the extreme allegory, if that's what this is intended to be.
Mm.
But what is the lesson then?
I don't know.
Not all quests are going to turn out the way we think they are. Well, I mean, yeah. Um,
Like not all quests have an ending that like is meaningful or
or
anything.
meaningful to the person on the quest.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was very meaningful for what the ex-husband of one of the first people that he
Yeah.
meets, uh, because the key belonged to him.
Yeah. And it's not very meaningful to the reader because we don't know what's in the lockbox.
Right. I think that there's an interesting kind of message about closure and the maybe the lie of having closure.
Mm,
You know, Oscar is looking for some sort of closure after his father's death, and he's never really gonna get that. Like they never find out for sure that his father died and what happened to him, and he at the end doesn't even care enough to find out what the key, like what's in the box that the key opens, and it's kind of this idea that that closure is a lie. I mean, even with the grandparents' relationship, like they never really come to a good place. They end up in an in between place because they can't ever settle anywhere.
yeah.
And maybe that is the message.
I guess it's kind of a depressing message.
Yeah, but I mean, some books are depressing, I guess. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
maybe it's the reality in all of the fantastic.
Yeah. Fair.
Um, I was not I guess I was not so invested in the lockbox this time. I was like, I know he doesn't open it. I'm not going to focus on that. Um,
I
I did
didn't
think it was.
remember what it even ended up belonging to, and then when I read it from reading it the first time. That
Mhm.
was me. What were you saying about you didn't care about the lockbox?
So I read recently. I think it was Show and Prove by Sofia Quintero, and there's the same kind of thing. Somebody, I think it was that. I've read so many books. Um, but there's this right,
I
there's
know.
this thing with a butterfly box, and like, okay, so it's all about there's all this conversation about finding out what's inside this box, and then you never find out what's inside the box. The main character does, but he doesn't communicate that to the reader. And I'm like, do I really need to know? Oh, no, it was booked by Kwame Alexander. The whole box thing. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have to know everything.
Mm,
It's okay to not know everything. And I think that's where I was with like the Holy Grail in Oscar's Quest.
Yeah.
mm.
Do you think that we're supposed to see Oscar as like having growth as a character? Like, is this intended to be somewhat of a coming of age story as he embarks on this quest and overcomes? Or is that just something that I'm used to finding in books?
You know, I did not see it as a coming of age story. I mean, I saw it more as, I mean, like I said, he is processing his grief the way he knows how, and when he gets to that place where the quest ends, okay, so now he's got to do it a different way, and he actually starts communicating with his mom. Um, I don't really see that as coming of age, but I mean, he does make some like infinitesimally small change where uh now he's not going off on all of these things out, you know, by himself or, with the guy from upstairs
Yeah.
or, digging in graves. Um he's now like like he asked Ron questions, and it seems like he's trying to engage in a way that he did not engage before.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm used to the coming of age thing too. I think for me at least, it has to do with reading a lot of young adult literature.
Mm.
Oh, cool. I was sent something on my other computer. And then questions.
Oh, I also made a note in my review that I didn't like some of the. I thought that Oscar was unnecessarily racist and offensive, even though he kind of acknowledged that. But I was like at one point he talks about like having to squint to see something, and he's like, if I act like I'm Chinese, and then he's like, if I was extremely Chinese, I could make my name out. I'm like, why is that even in there? Why is it there? Right? Ah! Things like that.
I missed that line. Wow. I don't have a comment. Nope.
I don't either, except like, yeah, like I said, I just needed to note that that was another thing I disliked about it.
Wait.
That's all you can say. All right.
No, there's a card game that I play called Exploding Kittens that has nope cards where you basically someone's gonna do something and you just like nope. And I think it's the most amazing mechanic of any game that it's like nope.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting game. Okay. So I want to because this was such a big deal from my first and second reading, I want to tackle number 5. Do you find the illustrations, scribblings, overwritten texts, etc., a meaningful integral part of the work? Do you find them distracting and gimmicky? Why are they there? And I already said that I found some of the photographs to be confusing. Actually, in the EPUB text, there's a difference between the letters that are just letters and the letters that have like things written on them. So, like I got to one with all of this red ink on it. Like, why? I don't understand. Is there like a secret message? I got all excited because it was like, oh, like Ellen Hopkins, you know? No, it was fixing grammar mistakes, and then I was disappointed.
That one confused me because so Oscar talked about the fact that his father would sit with the red pen and correct the errors in the New York Times, and the one that had corrections on it was a letter from the grandfather to Oscar's father, and I was like, oh, is this implying that Oscar's father got this letter at some point? And then that didn't make sense because then it seemed like the grandfather still had all of the letters. So then
there was one.
What's that?
I thought there was one. There was one letter that actually was sent. Because
it's supposed to be that one then, I wonder? That just seems like weird if you've never gotten a letter from your father and then you get it and you correct all the grammatical mistakes.
Right? Yeah, because he shows up, and didn't identify. Like I guess they chatted for him, and he didn't identify himself, but the renter, Thomas the Elder, the renter said that, like he just knew that Thomas was his son. Like all of these letters, he sent one, and we don't find out about it until like closer to the end. Yeah, because it was I think it was in one of the letters from Oscar's grandmother to Oscar, which makes it even more confusing. I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I have a formatting question for you guys, and then we can go back to talk about illustrations and whatever.
Yeah.
So in your texts, is all of the dialogue on the same line, or does it have the carriage returns like it's supposed to?
Say that again?
So when you've got multiple characters speaking, does it return indent, or was it all like this
Not
person's
all the
speaking now?
time.
I don't remember.
Okay. That was another.
Um,
It was another confusing point for me. But I'm thinking, okay, well, if he's supposed to be 9 years old, then I can see how he might not know how to format like different speakers and dialogue. My 13-year-olds have problems with that. Um, okay, it was another one of those that made it hard to tell who was saying what,
yeah.
and like the communication is like I think a big thing in the novel, and so if it's done intentionally, then I get how it can tie into that idea of communications versus and miscommunications. If it's just an EPUB thing, then I think I was reading way too much into it.
No, it was a novel thing. It was in mine. I had a paper copy, and some of the dialogue was all just like one paragraph, and so that's like a choice of the writer.
Which makes sense for a 9-year-old. If it's supposed to be
Yeah.
9, right? Yeah. So what about the other illustrations and the overwritten texts and things? Did you find them necessary to understanding the story?
I don't know about necessary, but I did find the overwritten text portion interesting because, like, the first couple lines of it, I was trying to decipher as the text got really small and started overlapping. I was trying to decipher what the words were, and then at some point, it's absolutely impossible, and it made me think about like, what is the author trying to say? Like, why is the author writing words that he doesn't want the reader to be able to read? And what does this say about everything else I just read in the last 3 pages? Was that necessary for me to read? Like, or was it just necessary for me to understand that the grandfather was just kind of frantically trying to communicate all of this stuff before he ran out of space? And was that really just the point? So I don't know exactly what he was trying to get at, but yeah, it was kind of like, why? If I can't read these lines, how important is it for me to have read the line before and the line before that, and which of these lines are actually important for me to read in the book, and which ones are actually not important? And that's a really strange thing to think about in reading a book, that there are some lines that just you don't need to read, but that's in how he intentionally made it.
Yeah.
You gonna say something, Pam?
I agree.
Oh.
Because whenever I read a book and if I have to skip a passage because it's particularly graphic or whatever, then I feel like I haven't completely read the book because there are lines that I did not read in that book. Like here he's making it so I cannot physically read every line in the book. So what is it about the act of reading a book?
Well, but I mean, our brains fill in things automatically. If you've ever there's research in literacy called eye movement, miscue analysis, and we look at how our eyes move over text as we read, and most readers don't read every word.
Right.
So, and like I've actually sat in the chair. It's really, really neat. Because New Mexico State has one.
Nice.
And it's fascinating to look at how we engage with text, and how that relates to, okay, so what actually is reading? I mean, does it mean reading every word? Does it mean understanding? Does it mean being able to critically analyze the things that we read like we do? You know, what is that? And do you have you read less because you skipped things? Or
Or
is there,
yeah, some people will try to insist that I can't say that I've read a book if I listen to the audiobook, which I just think is weird.
That's stupid.
Because I'm like, it's just somebody else reading the book to me. But, and sometimes, yeah, there are like pictures and stuff that I don't see, but in some ways it can be a richer experience to have the story read to you than read it yourself. But then they say you didn't actually read it because you didn't put your eyes on the page, which I feel like is a very narrow definition of reading.
Yeah.
it really is. But then I would imagine that those same people have a very narrow definition of what text is. Where in all of the classes I've taken in the last 9 years, um, we talk about how there is audio text and there is visual text and there is multimodal text and all of these things are equally text. And if reading is if reading is not just eyes on the page, then we can say we have read this text or we have read this image,
Yeah.
because there's a process that of interpreting the image to understanding that, or interpreting the audio to understanding that fits a broader definition of what reading is.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have conversation at school about sometimes about audiobooks and the virtue and challenges of having kids listen to stories.
Yeah.
I think it's a different experience. Your your brain probably processes it differently than
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah. But you still consume it. It's
Yeah.
still consumption.
Of text.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I think at the root of it all is what is text, and then we can go from there because we read text regardless of the mode of the
Right.
text.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yay! This is what I learned in 9 years of graduate school. I'm almost done, guys. I took my last class, and all I have to do is look at my dissertation. So, very exciting. Any of the other questions like popping out at y'all? I think we've got 6 and 1 and 2.
What is the significance of him playing Yorick? He plays a skull. It's not a role for a person to play. It's a prop. He's a prop in Hamlet.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly the point, that's how a lot of people in his life see him.
Oh,
As a person,
yeah.
a fully realized person at least. Like the people at school. That was as far as I got with understanding it.
And I have not. Literature major has not read Hamlet. I managed to get around that one.
Well,
So there's a larger significance there. I don't know.
yeah, all I remember from it is he's in the graveyard and he finds the skull of Yorick and he's like, "Hey, we were friends at school together. Now you're dead." I mean, I guess it's similar to the whole idea of death and his father and the lack of closure and like all of a sudden life becomes death and it's not all you had anymore.
And also, you can also take it as so Hamlet is trying to, or not trying to, but is communicating with this person who cannot communicate back with him. And there are all these letters that are written but not sent, so we're trying to communicate with people, but we're not allowing them to communicate back.
That's good.
Maybe a parallel there.
Yeah, I agree. good.
I think that part of my frustration with a book like this is that you can go, oh, look, this is a symbol. Oh, this is a symbol. Oh, this is a message. But, like, none of it really got to me where I'm like, oh, this is really powerful. I'm just like, oh, look, these characters symbolize a thing. But they're acting in completely bizarre ways, and I don't understand them, and I'm tired of this book.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Yeah, because I didn't go through it thinking about. I think I was in a realism, like my realism blinders were on,
Oh.
That's
and
not a good way to
yeah,
read this book.
no, no, it just made things confusing.
My problem is that my realism blinders are pretty much always on, so I struggle with things outside of that in general.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? No? I don't have. I failed. This was our last week of school, so I did not get the stuff posted that I need to get posted. So stay tuned for our read for August. Wait, no, July. Our read for July that we'll talk about in August. I will take the poll down on Friday, and and then I'll create an event that talks about here is our next book. La la la. All right. So wrong mouse. I'm gonna stop the broadcast.